My parents withdrew $2.3 million that I had saved for 10 years to buy a house. They did it on my 30th birthday while I was working my second job using forged documents and my identity. But what they didn't know is that I had been planning every detail of this exact moment for 3 years. Every penny, every document, every move was a trap I had carefully set just for them. If you've ever felt betrayed by the people who were supposed to protect you, this story is for you. Hit that like button if you believe in justice and subscribe, because what I did to get revenge will change how you think about family loyalty forever. The notification came at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was in the middle of explaining medication dosages to an elderly customer when my phone buzzed. Withdrawal of $2,340,000 successfully processed. My heart stopped. The pharmacy counter suddenly felt like it was spinning around me. Walter was asking about his blood pressure pills, but his voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. I dropped everything and ran. The 40-minute bus ride home felt like a nightmare where time moves in slow motion. I kept refreshing my banking app, hoping it was some kind of mistake, some glitch in the system. But no, my account showed 0. 10 years of sacrifice, 10 years of living like a monk while my family treated me like their personal ATM. And now it was all gone. When I burst through the front door, my mom, Joyce, and my dad, Adam, were sitting in the living room having coffee like it was any other afternoon. Mom didn't even look up from scrolling through her phone. Dad kept reading his newspaper with that infuriating calm he always had when he was about to deliver bad news. "Where's my money?" I demanded, my voice cracking despite my efforts to stay composed. Dad folded his newspaper slowly, deliberately, the way he used to do when I was a child, asking for something he'd already decided to deny. Then he laughed. It wasn't a joyful laugh. It was the laugh of someone who just pulled off what they thought was the perfect crime. "Thank you for your naivety, Helen," he said, not even bothering to look at me. "Your money now guarantees Lauren's bright future." Mom finally looked up from her phone, and I'll never forget the cold satisfaction in her eyes. "A girl like you would have wasted it anyway. You have no judgment to manage so much money." That's when I started laughing, not because anything was funny, but because they had no idea what they'd just done to themselves. They looked confused and exchanged glances. Mom asked if I'd gone crazy. "Did you take the money from the wrong account?" I said, still laughing so hard I could barely speak. The color drained from Dad's face. "What are you talking about?" "That account you just emptied? That was the bait account. The account I created specifically for this moment. Let me take you back 10 years to when this whole elaborate revenge began. I was 20 years old when I got my first job at Morrison's Pharmacy. But $800 a month, not much, but it was mine, or so I thought. My parents immediately implemented what they called the family contribution system. I had to give them 80% of my salary. That left me with $360 a month for everything. Food, transportation, clothes, any hope of a social life. Meanwhile, Lauren never worked a day in her life. My parents, Joyce and Adam, paid for her private school, her car, her designer clothes. She was the golden child, the princess who could do no wrong. Every morning, I'd wake up at 5 a.m., take 2 buses across town, work all day on my feet, dealing with difficult customers, then get home at 10 p.m., exhausted and empty-handed. But I had a plan. I got a second job. Weekend shifts at Romano's restaurant. I told my parents I was working overtime at the pharmacy. Every weekend, I'd smile and serve tables while Joyce posted Instagram photos of Lauren's shopping trips. That extra $500 a month went straight into a secret account my parents knew nothing about. For 5 years, I lived like a ghost in my own life. No new clothes unless something literally fell apart. Packed lunches every single day, usually just a sandwich and an apple. No movies, no dates, no nights out with friends. While Lauren threw pool parties and went on spring break trips. I counted bus fare. When I turned 25, I got promoted to assistant manager. My salary jumped to $4,500 a month. Joyce and Adam immediately increased my contribution to $3,600. They said it was only fair since I was earning more. What they didn't know was that I'd also started freelance bookkeeping for small businesses, another $3,000 a month that went straight to my hidden account. By this point, I was living on $900 a month while secretly saving over $3,000. Then, at 27, everything changed. I was helping Joyce organize tax documents when I found something that made my blood run cold. Copies of all my banking information, statements from accounts I thought were private, even my social security card and birth certificate. They'd kept everything from when I was a minor, and apparently they'd been monitoring my finances for years. That's when my Aunt Christina accidentally let slip the real reason they'd been watching my money so closely. Joyce and Adam were planning to use my savings to pay for Lauren's medical school, private medical school. 6 years at $15,000 per semester. They needed at least $1.88 million. I could have confronted them right then. I could have moved my money, changed banks, cut them off completely. But I decided to do something much smarter, much more devastating. I opened a third account with an online-only bank using my friend Kelly's address. Then I began the most elaborate financial shell game of my life. Over the next 2 years, I gradually moved my real savings to this untraceable account. But in the account my parents knew about, I maintained exactly $1.88 million, the exact amount they'd need for Lauren's education. Here's the beautiful part. That $1.8 million wasn't real money. It was a carefully constructed illusion made up of pre-approved credit lines, temporary transfers, and money I'd shuffled between accounts to make the balance look legitimate. For 3 years, I fed this illusion, leaving bank statements where they could accidentally find them, mentioning my savings in casual conversations. My real money, now over $2.3 million, was safely invested and growing in an account they could never find. I knew they'd make their move around my 30th birthday. Lauren was starting her final year and tuition was due. So, last Tuesday on my birthday, while I was at work explaining prescriptions to customers, Joyce and Adam walked into First National Bank with my documents and forged my signature. Asterisk, they withdrew every penny of what they thought was my life savings. When I told them it was a trap account, Adam's face went white as paper. Joyce dropped her phone and it shattered on the hardwood floor. But here's the best part, I continued, pulling out my own phone. You've just committed multiple felonies. Document forgery, identity theft, grand larceny, all recorded on the bank security cameras. I showed them the police report I'd filed online an hour earlier. You have until noon tomorrow to return every penny or I hand over all the evidence to the DA's office. Joyce started crying, mascara running down her cheeks. You can't do this to your own family. We only wanted what's best for Lauren. And what about what's best for me? I asked, when did you ever think about my future? When did you care that I worked like a slave while you spent my money on your precious princess? Adam tried to save face. We raised you. We put a roof over your head. You owe us gratitude. Family helps family. You're absolutely right, I said. That's why I'm giving you the chance to return the money. It's more than you ever did for me. It's when Lauren walked in, jingling the keys to her brand new BMW bought with my stolen money. When she found out what was happening, do you know what she said? Helen, you're being so selfish. You've always been jealous of me. You never want to see me happy. It was the final straw. I called my lawyer, Peter, right there in front of them. He'd been preparing for this moment for months. The criminal complaint was already drafted. All he needed was my go-ahead. The next morning at 11:47 a.m., my phone rang. Adam's voice was shaking so badly I could barely understand him. The money's back in your account, he whispered. I checked. There it was. $1,800,000 returned in full. But I didn't withdraw the criminal complaint. 2 hours later, Detective Noah Rodriguez and his partner showed up at my parents' house with a warrant. The whole neighborhood watched as Joyce and Adam were led away in handcuffs. Lauren had to return the BMW to the dealership. The loan had been secured with stolen funds. Joyce and Adam had to liquidate their retirement accounts and sell their vacation home to cover the legal fees. The local newspaper ran this story. Local couple arrested for stealing daughter's life savings. Their friends at the country club saw it. Their coworkers saw it. Lauren's medical school saw it. I took my real money, all $2.3 million of it, and bought my house. Cash, no mortgage, no debt, no strings attached. A beautiful 3-bedroom colonial in the nicest part of town. It's 15 minutes from their neighborhood, but worlds away from their influence. I moved out that same day, taking nothing but my clothes. I didn't want a single thing that connected me to that life, that family, that version of myself who let people walk all over her. Joyce and Adam tried calling. They sent texts, emails, even had relatives reach out. They wanted to talk things through, to work it out as a family. They said they were sorry that they'd made mistakes, that families should forgive. I blocked every number, changed my phone, and requested a job transfer to Portland. I started over completely. Today, 3 months later, I wake up in my own house every morning. My name is on the deed. My rules govern every room. My peace fills every corner. No one takes my money, demands my time, or treats me like a servant in my own life. I found out through Christina that Lauren had to drop out of medical school. Without her parents' financial support, now tied up in legal fees and restitution, she couldn't afford the tuition. Joyce and Adam are drowning in debt. The house they mortgaged to pay their legal bills is now in foreclosure. Sometimes people ask if I miss my family, if I regret being so extreme. They ask if I took things too far. I always give them the same answer. I spent 10 years being their personal bank account. Now, finally, I'm the owner of my own life. And here's the most satisfying part of all. That $1.8 million they returned. I donated every penny to a scholarship fund for students from low-income families. Money that had been stolen from me wasn't going to buy my freedom. My real savings earned through my own sweat and sacrifice. That's what purchased my independence. Because freedom, my friends, is priceless. 3 months later, I'm living proof that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's getting ahead. While Joyce and Adam count legal bills and Lauren works retail to pay for community college. I'm building the life I always dreamed of. The 10 years of sacrifice weren't wasted. They were an investment in this moment, this freedom, this peace. Every morning when I wake up in my house, I remember that girl who used to count bus and wonder if this day would ever come. She probably wouldn't recognize the woman I've become. Strong enough to wait 3 years for justice. Smart enough to turn their greed against them. Free enough to walk away from people who never deserved my loyalty. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible revenge stories. Tell me in the comments, was Helen's revenge justified, or did she go too far? And remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting even. It's building a life so good that those who wronged you become irrelevant. Until next time, keep fighting for the life you deserve.